everybody, and welcome into this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly. I'm Caleb Brooks, and we will soon be sending you down to Montgomery for the press conference announcing the new executive director of the AHSAA. As Coach Steve Savarese made the decision to step down and retire effective this summer, and they have now made their decision and will announce today who the new executive director of the AHSAA is. So we're going to send it down to Montgomery and show you the press conference announcing our new executive director of the AHSAA.
Uneven floors got you rolling? Ox Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. It's time to get strong. How strong? Ox Strong. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's great to have so many of you here today on this historic day when we name the 5th Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I want to welcome all of our guests and thank you for being here on this special day. I want to let you know also that I'm a little more relaxed than the last time that I did this, knowing that my time is short, but I am so excited for the future of this association. The next leader of this association will take our association to a new level. He'll be dependent on the great staff that's here at the Alabama High School Athletic Association, joining in with him to lead our 156,000 athletes, our 15,000 administrators, and 8,000 officials into the next generation. So before we introduce our next executive director, I want to introduce the president of the Central Board of Control, Van Phillips, principal, Centerpoint High School.
Thank you, Mr. Savarese. I'm very excited to be standing here today to announce the next executive director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. First, I want to thank Mr. Savarese for his outstanding service, first as a coach and administrator at Alabama High School Athletic Association member schools for more than 3 decades. And I thank him even more for his 15 years of outstanding leadership as executive director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We will miss you, Mr. Savarese, but we also wish you well in your retirement. I feel your leadership has made the Alabama High School Athletic Association the best high school athletic association in America. I also want to thank the Central Board of Control and the Search Committee for its thorough search for the 5th Executive Director in Alabama High School Athletic Association history. Based on this past success of our Central Board, we know this has been a very difficult task and one that has lasting impact on this great organization. The work this committee has put forth has been outstanding. On behalf of the Central Board, I want to also thank those who applied for this important position. The list of candidates was amazing, and it left our committee with a very difficult decision. We pared the list down to 3 founders. Each one in their own right would have been an excellent choice for us. We thank each of you for your professionalism and candor during this process. However, with that being said, we could only choose one person. I'm proud to say I believe we have selected a person who can meet the challenges that currently face the Alabama High School Athletic Association now and in the coming years, with the same commitment to the Alabama High School Athletic Association mission and the 4 executive directors that came before him. The person we have selected attended high school in the Alabama High School Athletic Association, where he was an outstanding student athlete. He went on to represent his family, his school, and the Alabama High School Athletic Association well at the collegiate and the professional level. After coaching for several years at the collegiate level, he became a high school teacher, coach, and administrator at our member schools, again, representing himself as the ultimate professional. And for the last decade, this man has been of impeccable character and has served on the Alabama High School Athletic Association executive staff, first as director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, and for the last 3 years, he has helped lead the Alabama High School Athletic Association as the Associate Executive Director, standing only next to Mr. Steve Savarese. We have been fortunate to have known him and to have him working hand in hand with Mr. Savarese, the Central Board, and with our member schools, and fully understand the mission of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We all agree he was the most qualified person for this very important job. Now, I am very proud and pleased to introduce Mr. Alvin Briggs, the Alabama High School Athletic Association next Executive Director. Congratulations, Mr. Briggs.
Wow. Thank you. I want to thank you for those kind words. As I look across and look out in this room, I see a lot of familiar faces. Some from my childhood hometown to some hometowns that I've grown to call my hometown. I want to thank the Central Board Search Committee, along with the Central Board, and Van Phillips, the board president, Mr. Steve Savarese, executive director, for having the confidence in me that I will be the leader of this great organization for years to come. There's no doubt I have big shoes to fill. The previous executive directors, Cliff Hopper, Bubba Scott, Dan Washman, and of course, Mr. Savarese, have set a legacy of great leadership across this nation for this organization. And as I prayerfully will do the same thing with my leadership. As I look to my left, this gentleman, from day one when he introduced me as his son. He's been more than a mentor. He has been that father for me. You know, I kind of wrote a little speech here, but I'm a differ for that a little bit because I said he's a father figure. You know, I grew up in a home with loving parents. I grew up in a home with parents that supported me. But I don't mind saying this. My father was an alcoholic. He wasn't always there, but it didn't mean he didn't love me. But when I got to know this gentleman right here to my left, and I've had other men in my life that I would say were father figures, but this gentleman has been more than a father figure. He has been a dad. So it's never been an embarrassment when other men would say, "There's your daddy. I see you standing beside your daddy." I took it as a great honor because that's what he's been, a father and a great mentor. And my prayer is I can lead this organization to new heights as he's done. More importantly, I don't want any of us to forget the mission of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. This association is here to serve our member schools through sportsmanship, competition, and enhanced student learning. With integrity as its foundation, The association consistently governs the rules created by our member schools. We're here to serve our member schools, and we will continue to serve our member schools. I promise you that. All our member schools. They're all important. All 413 of them. As Van mentioned, I grew up in this organization. I have a letter on my office wall now from being selected in the All-Star game from Mr. Bubba Scott. The first time I met Mr. Scott, he was talking to us about being well-groomed and the fact that we was going to church in the next 20 minutes. So you got 5 minutes to get downstairs. I will continue to strive to lead this association to be the best in the nation. And I will be able to do that with the great staff that's assembled here at the Alabama High School Athletic Association. There's no doubt we have the best in the nation. Lastly, to each of the executive directors before me and to Mr. Savarese, my goal and my plan and my prayer is to leave this association better than it was handed to me. That will be a daunting task, but I look forward to the challenge. Thank you.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the expertise and the know-how to repair cracks, wet basements and crawl spaces, and uneven floors in your home. AHSAA Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. It's time to get strong. How strong? AHSAA Strong.
Hey everybody, Caleb Brooks for the AHSAA TV network, and we just had our first look at our new executive director of the AHSAA, Mr. Alvin Briggs, who has been selected to take the spot of Coach Steve Savarese, who is retiring effective this summer. And we are now joined by Mr. Alvin Briggs down at the AHSAA office. And first of all, Mr. Alvin Briggs, just want to congratulate you on this accomplishment. You know, I've gotten to see you a lot through the years at all the events with the AHSAA. You've always been right there on Coach Sav's side, and now you get to step into his shoes. And so just want to first off congratulate you on this honor.
Thank you, Caleb. It is an honor, and I'm very humbled that the Central Board Committee and the Central Board felt they were confident enough to me that I could run this great organization.
Getting this announcement, I mean, obviously you talked about it during the press conference. You said, you know, I looked at Coach Sav and I said, hey, I want to be sitting in your seat one day and I want to have your job. Now that this is a reality for you, just tell me, what does it really mean to you to have this position and know that you're going to be the next executive director of the AHSAA?
As I just mentioned, it's a great honor. There have been 5 other great men that were in this position. And for the Central Board to hand the reins over to me means I have a daunting task and to fill the shoes of the great men before me.
How much are you going to be able to look at your time with Coach Savarese, you know, being there with him, traveling with him, getting to go to all the meetings with him and all of that type of stuff, and use that now as you step into his role and start doing the same type of things that he's been doing for the last 14 years?
Although that time is invaluable, I will use that entire experience to help guide me. But you know, once I'm in that seat, it's all on the staff that's here and myself. So he will be sorely missed. But his guidance that he's given all of us over the last 14 years will be used to continue to lead this organization forward.
You know, you've brought up the staff a lot of times, and I've gotten to know the staff really well there as well, doing what I do. And talk about them a little bit as well and the importance that they have in helping, you know, Coach Sav and what he's been able to do in his tenure and what they're going to be, you know, the importance they're going to have for you as well in your tenure as the executive director of the AHSAA.
Well, Coach Saff has assembled a great staff, and they do a tremendous job, a thankless job for all the sports and all the things they got to handle throughout the year. And we just going to continue to do what we do. I mean, they do a great job. You couldn't ask for a better staff. Again, I've said it 3 or 4 times, but I think we got the best staff in the nation. We have staff and associations that call our staff year-round. The majority of our staff on national committees at the National High School Athletic Association. We're tremendously active in our section. We believe, again, that we have one of the best staffs in the country.
And I'd have to agree with you. I get to see what they do firsthand a lot. And, the staff that Coach Savarese put together there with the AHSAA, including yourself, has been at the forefront for a lot of big things, especially this year, getting athletics going. And when you look back now at some of the meetings that y'all had in June and July of last year and think back on the decisions that y'all had to make in order just to get sports going this season, as you take a look back on the year now, how successful was this season, and did it turn out even better than what y'all expected when y'all made the decision back in July to go forward with sports in 2020-2021 school year?
Well, Caleb, I'm going to tell you, that decision didn't happen in July. We had already started working on contingency plans March the 17th. As soon as the governor announced what was going on with COVID and what our schools were doing, because we were in hope that we could be back last spring. And then as the press conferences and all the things detailed, we already had contingency plans. We had task force that were formed through the great leadership of Mr. Savarese. So we were planning for seasons at some point, at some ways, in some fashion, from March of 2020. And we were very fortunate with the leadership of Mr. Savarese that we were the only state in the nation that started on time and finished high school athletics on time without a sport missing a season. So that, that's what this staff has done, and we will continue to make those strides.
Just wrapped up our last week of athletics here in the 2021 school year, and one of the new features was going up to Oxford, having softball in Oxford up there. And after completing our first year in Oxford for the state tournament, what can you say about that state tournament up there and softball moving to that area and the success that we had going to the Oxford area and hosting our state tournament for the first time this year?
It's the look on our student athletes' face. That's what we look for. When you see the joy and happiness on their face, you know you made the right decision. And that was one of the decisions that you look at and how you look at it. And those student athletes, to see them play on those fields, to see the joy in their faces, to see them play on that championship field, to see our logo out there in the middle of the field that had AHSAA on it and a star, it was tremendous. And the city of Oxford and the mayor and those volunteers, those hundreds of volunteers, did a tremendous job, and we were very pleased with it.
Speaking of joy on people's faces, your family was in attendance today and is there for the press conference. And as we wrap things up here, talk about what it means to you to have them there with you, to be a part of this with you, and to have their support for you to do this, to take this on, because it's not an easy task stepping up as the executive director of the AHSAA.
It was great, Caleb. I mean, just to have them here, to have that support. And they've supported me through all my endeavors, and that's what families are for. And not just that family, but the family here we have at the association, with the staff, the central board, and all the friends that were here. We all are family. And that's thanks to Mr. Savarese and Mr. Washburn. They've created a family atmosphere here. So we're going to continue that.
Mr. Alvin Briggs, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and to talk about you being named the new executive director of the AHSAA. And again, just want to congratulate you on being selected and really look forward to working with you over the next few years. And we know there's a lot of big things to come under your leadership with the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
Thanks, Caleb. I enjoyed speaking with you and looking forward to speaking with you in the future.
Sir. All right, so there you hear it. Mr. Alvin Briggs, the new executive director of the AHSAA. Happy to have him leading this organization now. He's been right there at Coach Savarese's side for so long, and now we'll step into his shoes and look forward to seeing what big things are to come under his leadership with the AHSAA.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA Weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
Hey everybody, Caleb Brooks with the AHSAA TV network, and we had our press conference this morning to announce the new executive director of the AHSAA, Mr. Alvin Briggs, and I'm now joined by the current director of the AHSAA, Mr. Steve Savarese. And Coach Savarese, first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us here today. And second of all, got to be a bittersweet day for you, making the decision to retire a few weeks ago and now announcing the new executive director of the AHSAA. You talked about it at the beginning. You were a little bit more relaxed today than you were the last time that you had one of these, as you were the one being selected to take the spot of Mr. Washburn. But for you now to hand the reins to Mr. Alvin Briggs, I mean, just what has your tenure there meant to you, and to know that you're handing it off to a friend the way that Alvin Briggs is, got to be really cool for you.
Well, thanks, Caleb. First, it's great to talk with you, and I appreciate WOTM and all they do for us and cover all of our events. The relationship with Mr. Early has been fantastic, and we appreciate y'all being part of this historic day. I also want to tell you, Mom and Dad, Richie and Debbie, you make sure you tell them I said hello. Tell your dad I said to keep behaving, because I'm always watching what he's doing. So don't forget to tell him that. Tell your brothers I said, hey, and it's great to be with you. You know, Caleb, I remember when you were just a little tot, so watching you grow up has been a real pleasure for me. Today has been a historic day for our association, a wonderful day. As you said, when I retired, you know, it was a very difficult decision. Anytime you do something for 47 years or you're part of an organization for 15 years, it's bittersweet when you leave an association or a job. And this time, leaving this job, going to become a full-time grandfather and father and go fishing with my kids. And my grandson's coming fishing with me this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to spending time with our family. I know my wife is also. But it does make it much easier to leave this association knowing that the person that will assume the executive director position is part of this wonderful staff. You know, Alvin Briggs has done a fantastic job in every position he has served. He's been a tireless worker traveling all over this state, and he will continue to lead this organization to new levels. I also know he is very dependent on the staff here. Anything that Steve Savarese ever did was not by himself. It was because I work with people like Alvin Briggs and the rest of this staff, all of us working together to achieve whatever accomplishment we were able to achieve or to face any challenge we had to face. So he can only do it with a great staff, and I'm counting on this staff rallying around him and moving forward, because we've already got to prepare. We just finished Saturday, really Sunday morning at 12:05. We finished the 2021 sports season, spring sports season, and it's time to prepare for 21-22 because it's full speed ahead with, good Lord willing, a normal year next year.
For you, what is it like to think back to a year ago and having to make the type of decisions y'all had to make, the tough choices that y'all had to make in order to get sports going this season? You and your staff was at the forefront of the whole country of getting sports going and getting high school sports played. And to think back on that now and then to look at this season and the success that we had in getting sports played this year, What's it like to think back on those meetings and the decisions that y'all had to make and now seeing the results of them?
Well, I wish I could tell you, Caleb, that we knew what the outcome was going to be and we were confident in our decision. We based our decisions a year ago based on the data that we had on hand and collaboration with our medical advisory board. They were instrumental under the leadership of Dr. James Robinson to provide us information that allowed us and our board, our Central Board of Control, which had the courage to stand up and support the decisions that we advised them on to allow our student athletes to play. Our position always was take it 1 week at a time, 1 day at a time, and not to delay, but to start to see how far we could get. And then if we had to stop, we knew we gave our kids something. And that was our goal. Watching what happened a year ago during the spring, stopping right in the middle of our spring season was very difficult, not only on the schools and the students, but on our staff as well. So we said, let's start, let's take it 1 week at a time, and we were able to take it 1 week at a time all the way through the spring season. There were some challenges, and we had to be flexible. Everyone had to be understanding. We couldn't have done it without our member schools. Our staff just did an awesome job. And when I got to staff meeting this morning, the first comment I said is we said that we have just concluded our sports season. I looked them all in the eye and I said, this was your finest moment. Job well done, and I congratulated them.
And it was a job well done by you and your staff. And Coach Sav, you've done so many great things during your tenure as the executive director of the AHSAA, getting the Super 7 moved to Bryant Denny and Jordan Hare. This year, a big thing was softball moving up to Oxford, and there's been so many other big things that you've been a part of. And for me and my family, you know what you've meant to us and what you've provided for us, what you did for my dad back when you hired him at Benjamin Russell, and then creating the radio network, the TV network, which is now providing me with opportunities. And so we just want to thank you for what you've done as the executive director. I want to thank you as a player, a guy that played in the AHSAA and played under you. With you being that executive director of the AHSAA, thank you for all that you've done. You've done so many great things, and you really are leaving the AHSAA better than you found it.
Well, again, thank you, Caleb, and it was always my pleasure and privilege to coach you. I was very fortunate to be able to hire your dad and to watch him still be the head baseball coach at Benjamin Russell High School and one of the most respected coaches, a member of the Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. To watch him still lead students has just been a real pleasure for me. But again, I say this, nothing Steve Savarese ever accomplished was by himself. It was always with the help of others and this great staff. From the first staff I inherited, the first Central Board of Control that I inherited, and being well trained as they were under Dan Washburn, to now having the opportunity to work with new individuals. It's been a real pleasure and a great team effort, and whatever we accomplished, I'm confident that Alvin Briggs will take everything to a new level.
Well, Coach Savarese, thank you for taking the time to join us here on WOTM today, and we wish you nothing but a happy retirement, and look forward to seeing you around here soon.
Well, thank you, Caleb. I love you. I love your family, and I really appreciate the opportunity to maybe do my last interview with you.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that special? So
yes, sir.
I love you, and thank you for having me on.
Love you too, Coach. Thank you. So there you hear it. Executive Director of the AHSAA, Mr. Steve Savarese, who has just done so many great things during his 14 years as the Executive Director.